Welcome back to the Light Everywhere podcast. We have with us Pastor Omo Imoukhuede, the author of the book Discovering Followership. We've been having a wonderful discussion on this followership concept, and we're going to continue that. Pastor Omo, I want you to just speak to our audience. Just tell us, what is the relevance of followership to our lives, maybe to individual lives or to organizations and all that. I know people, when you talk about leadership, people can see the relevance, right? Because we know that leadership, everything needs leadership. You need self-leadership, you need leaders in the home and all that. What's the relevance of followership? Yes. And what is its relationship with leadership?
Well, first of all, when you do not know something or have a clear understanding of something, you will either abuse it or you take it lightly. So I think the first problem is, I think everyone, first of all, needs to understand that there really is no leadership without followership. There's a symbiotic relationship. And if you, whether you're in a family, in a church, a business, you're always going to have this leadership-followership dynamic. If you're going to build effective systems, whether it is in your family or whether it is in your business, whether it's in government, whatever sphere of influence that you currently occupy, you have to accept that there is a dynamic, there is the leadership and then followership dynamic. Now, to just study one aspect of this dynamic, which is leadership, and neglect the other aspect of the dynamic, which is followership, then you're invariably saying you have one coin with just one face. You need to be able to look at two faces to the coin. You need to look at both sides. Social scientists say that the whole concept of followership is like a three-legged stool. You've got leadership, you've got followership, and you've got the correct context. The context has to do with the environment that all these things are applicable to. For example, when you talk about leadership, followership dynamic in the military, the dynamic is a little bit different. The way those who are being led relate with the way those who are leading is different. If you look at the context in the church, the leadership, followership dynamic is different. In a non-profit organization, the leadership, followership dynamic is different. In a cultural setting, the way people respond to leaders in certain cultures is different. Now, wouldn't it be great if we understood the full range of this dynamic? If we understood not just the leadership aspect, but we understand why do people follow? Why are they following? What can we do to enhance people's followership? Now, this is not talking about people domination now, which is the misconception why a lot of people don't follow. When we say you're a follower, doesn't mean that you don't have a brain, doesn't mean that you don't have critical thinking, doesn't mean that you should not participate on it, doesn't mean you should not question. We're not saying that. That is false followership. That is bad followership. What we're talking about here is matured followership, which involves your critical thinking, as John Kelly, the social scientist, would say. Critical thinking. It involves your participation. Right? It involves your communication with whoever is leading. So understanding these dynamics will add value to your organization or to whatever institution that is there, whether it's a marriage, family, or what. So that's one point. Second, another reason why followership is important is because, number one, I call it like the laws of followership, which is everyone is following, whether they believe it or not. So wouldn't it, and another caveat to that is the fact that you will always end up in the direction of whoever or whatever you're following. So if you're following bad friends through peer pressure, you end up where they end.
That's right.
If the people you are following, the news you're following is good or whatever, you end up in that direction. So for me, I want to end up in a good place. So that means that I need to be critical about the influences that I allow in my life. I need to know what I'm following, what is influencing me, where I'm heading. Because whatever or whoever I follow will determine my end destination. If I decide to follow God, I know where I'm heading. If I decide to follow the devil, then I know where you kind of know where you.
So I better be smart about following.
Exactly, you better be smart. We're talking. We are appealing to your sense of reasoning and critical thinking. Why would someone strap himself with a bomb and blow himself up in the guise of following someone? That's because they've not been really educated in what true followership means. Why would someone go and, because they listen to a song or read a book, take a gun and shoot someone? That is their responding to an influence, and that's followership. So if you don't understand what true followership is, then you will have some problems. Another reason why followership is important is that really, and a lot of people don't want to say this, but there is really no leadership without followership. You will not have leadership committed in your hands if you don't follow. In the book, I give you a lot of examples of people who we see today and respect as leaders. But when you look at their history, you see that they spent several years.
Even Jesus.
Jesus himself. I mean, he had to follow John the Baptist to be baptized. He said, let's do this to fulfill our righteousness. He wasn't pompous. In fact, it is a chapter there on learning followership from Jesus Christ. Jesus himself was a follower. He said, I'm like a sheep led to the slaughter. I mean, if Jesus himself could follow, he said, I will not do anything except what I see.
And I remember Philippians says he made himself of no reputation.
Exactly.
He became the form of a servant.
Exactly.
So
that is it. And as his servant leadership is followership, really. Because that's what Jesus did. He came down and he said, listen, I'm not trying to be, I know who I am, but at the same time, I'm not going to do anything except what I see my Father demonstrate.
So that means that even those who lead, to truly lead, you must be following something.
Exactly.
For example, as a pastor, I can't just say I am leading if I'm not following God, Christ.
To start, exactly.
Like Paul said, follow me as I follow Christ.
Exactly.
So every leader must be a follower.
Exactly, because that's the key there. Because if you are not following, especially following God, you will plateau. You plateau and you begin to diminish, even though you might think you're having an impact. But if you are not constantly striving, and let me just even say this here. Everything begins with God. When you learn how to follow God correctly, you will know how to follow man. God will teach you how you should follow, the appropriate way to follow man, and he will teach you how not to worship man. He will teach you how to respect man, he will teach you, okay, maybe that guy is not perfect, but these are things I want you to learn from that person. Maybe those people are secular, but I need you to pick one or two things from here so that it can embellish and enhance your life. So there's nothing, followership is very important. Why reinvent the wheel when you can observe someone who is doing what you've already done, or who is where you want to be, or who has some influence in the area that you want to do, and then you learn and observe from them.
Wow. So this book is loaded, and I've read it. And disclaimer, I forwarded it. It's a very great book. I read the manuscript. How can people get this book?
Well, this book is on Amazon.com, Barnes and Nobles. It's on Kindle. You just go there, type in Discovering Followership, Omo Imoukhuede, and you will have it there for everyone to.
I also know that you speak, regarding followership in various places. So maybe there's someone, a pastor, a leader, or an organizational entrepreneur, or somebody who just feels I need to speak more about this. How can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, they can contact me at Pastor Omo at thecitylight.org, and just let me know when, and we will make arrangements to come over. We're passionate about spreading this message because you can't just focus on leadership and not talk about the followership aspect. There are various, you'll be able to gauge the level of your organization or your institute, even at home. How you and your spouse, in terms of, are you working together as a team? Are you following a goal? You have a goal? Do you have we could work with you on those areas.
And I really want to recommend it for all my friends out there. I want to recommend the book. Also recommend, just engaging this revelation through the presence of Pastor Omo in your organization. he has been of great help in our own organization. He has taught it to people. In fact, it is one of the modules in our Leading Light training where we use in just helping professionals and people discover their purpose and start new things and all that. So I want to recommend Pastor Omo for your organization and the book. Get the book and get him to come and speak about followership, especially those of you who have individuals that you are leading. I think it's a good thing for those that you are leading, and not just for you, but for those you are leading also, to understand why they are following and what it's all about. I think the body of Christ will be better served. Pastor Omo, thank you so much.
Pastor Lan, thank you
Thank you for writing this book. It's been a blessing to me. It's been a blessing to many people that I know. Thank you so much for this time also, for this interview.
I appreciate you, sir.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.
So that's it for this this edition of the Light Everywhere podcast. I will see you next week.